For decades now, there's been an uncomfortable truth the rest of the world has had to live with. On the oceans, the United States Navy is not just stronger. It is the standard, the ruler every other navy is measured against. From the Mediterranean to the Red Sea to the South China Sea and the East China Sea, when a hotspot barely starts to smoke, you almost always see the same shadow appear first. Not a ship. A floating city of steel, nuclear-powered, surrounded by escorts, sensors, missiles, and air power capable of turning a bad calculation into a catastrophe. And this is the moment where rooms tend to go quiet. A carrier strike group is not just a group of ships. It's a mobile warning, a political decision that can become firepower in minutes. You want escalation? The United States can show up at your doorstep with an ability to strike, defend, and stay that very few nations on Earth can even dream of matching. In this episode, we go straight at the question the world is quietly afraid to answer. Just how powerful is the U.S. Navy once the game crosses the line? As we move into 2025 and 2026, what upgrades are pushing the balance even further toward Washington? And why America's submarine fleet remains a nightmare, one rivals cannot catch, no matter how much money they burn trying. And finally, the biggest question of all. In this century, is there any nation truly capable of challenging the dominance of the United States Navy? Or is it all just inflated hope, standing in front of an empire built on steel, technology, and decades of warfighting experience? All of that gets answered today. Carrier Strike Group, the war machine only the United States was able to build. In the oceans of the 21st century, there is one military structure every major power wants to possess, yet no one has been able to truly recreate. Not even Russia, not even China. The Carrier Strike Group, or CSG. And no, this is not just a fleet. A carrier strike group is a complete ecosystem of warfare, long-range firepower, multi-layer defense, airborne command and control, electronic warfare, mobile logistics, and the ability to sustain continuous combat for months in the middle of the ocean. A standard CSG includes a nuclear-powered supercarrier, a cruiser equipped with SPY-6 phased array radar, 2 to 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers forming the Aegis Shield, a nuclear attack submarine, often a Virginia-class, among the most sophisticated submarines in the world, and a logistics ship carrying fuel, munitions, and spare parts. Ahead of the formation, silently on the ocean floor, you may still find Los Angeles-class submarines. Older by design, yet still the backbone of many anti-submarine and interception missions. Together, this forms a compact naval army, one that can strike targets thousands of kilometers away without relying on a single inch of foreign soil. But what makes the Carrier Strike Group truly impossible to copy is not the number of ships. It is the cost of creating it. To operate a CSG, a nation must possess naval-grade nuclear reactors, next-generation radar technology, a highly experienced naval air wing, a shipbuilding industry supported by thousands of subcontractors, a global basing network, and hundreds of billions of dollars every year just to keep it combat ready. That price is the real barrier. In the fiscal year 2025 budget, the U.S. Navy allocates more than $257.6 billion for modernization and force sustainment. Much of that directly supports carrier strike groups, carrier overhauls, new Virginia-class submarines, Arleigh Burke upgrades, next-generation fighters, and heavy investment in automation and drones to prepare for a future of semi-autonomous carrier warfare. That level of annual investment creates a gap no other nation has been able to close. Russia lacks the budget and global logistics to sustain a carrier fleet like the United States, let alone a full carrier strike group. China has industrial capacity, but lacks deep water operational experience, overseas logistics bases, a fully mature airborne early warning system, and nuclear-powered carrier propulsion. Those are not small details. Those are deal breakers. A carrier strike group is something only a nation that is wealthy, technologically advanced, and battle-tested over decades can sustain. And that nation is the United States. And the United States does not operate just one. America maintains 9 active carrier strike groups spread from the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean to the Pacific. A global naval network no rival on Earth can match. At the heart of every strike group is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Most are Nimitz class, but the next generation, USS Gerald R. Ford, is redefining the standard. Ford uses EMALS, the electromagnetic aircraft launch system. It replaces steam catapults with electromagnetic launch, reducing wear, smoothing takeoffs, and, most importantly, increasing sortie generation rates. In a single combat day, Ford or Nimitz can launch far more sorties than any Chinese or Russian carrier in service today. Spy-6 radar can track hundreds of targets simultaneously, distinguishing real threats from decoys and electronic noise. When SM-6 and SM-3 missiles are launched, their speed, precision, and long-range interception make missile or air attacks extremely difficult to execute. Russia and China are trying to build similar systems, but the gap remains at least one full generation. In the air, the E-2D Advanced Hawkeye acts as the brain of the fleet. Its APY-9 radar can detect stealth targets, penetrate jamming, and track low-altitude aircraft hiding in sea clutter. China is testing the KJ-600. Russia still does not operate a true carrier-based airborne early warning aircraft. In modern naval warfare, no AEW means no eyes. And without eyes, no fleet survives long-range cruise missiles. On the carrier deck, the fighter of choice is the F-35C. So why F-35C and not the F-22? Because the F-22 cannot operate from carriers. No arresting hook, landing gear not built for carrier impacts, airframe not protected against salt corrosion. F-35C is the naval variant. Larger wings, longer range, reinforced landing gear, dedicated arresting hook. Most importantly, it is the only stealth fighter in the world operating from aircraft carriers at true combat scale. The F-35C sensor suite allows it to detect other stealth aircraft at long range, cue targets for Aegis, and transmit data instantly across the fleet. When F-35C works with the E-2D, the entire strike group becomes a unified sensor network, a single brain that sees farther and decides faster than any naval force in history. Put it all together, and the carrier strike group becomes a mobile kill zone at sea. E-2D sees first, F-35C confirms, Aegis locks on and fires. And if anything survives, the carrier launches the strike to finish the job. To date, no nation has ever broken a carrier strike group in real combat. And that is only the visible part. The unseen part, where American submarines operate, is even more terrifying. And that is where we will go next. Submarine Force. The power in the shadows no one else on Earth truly possesses. If carrier strike groups are the symbol of power the world can see, then the force that actually keeps rivals awake at night lives where no one can see it, deep beneath the ocean. That is where the United States Navy maintains one of the most sophisticated and dangerous nuclear submarine forces on the planet. Worldwide, there are roughly 470 to 500 military submarines across about 40 nations. But when you move to the very top tier of the game, only 3 names truly matter: the United States, Russia, China. America operates roughly 68 to 70 submarines. Russia fields about 62 to 65. China, depending on how you count, ranges from the low 60s to nearly 80. On paper, the numbers look close. The difference lies elsewhere. The United States dominates almost completely in blue water nuclear submarines. Meanwhile, much of the rest of the world, including several mid-level powers, still relies primarily on diesel-electric boats designed for coastal defense. Within the U.S. fleet, there are 3 pillars you need to remember: strategic ballistic missile submarines, attack submarines like Virginia-class and Seawolf, and the next generation is now entering service, Columbia-class, and the future SSN. Each of these boats is not just a weapon platform, it is a node in a deterrence and ocean control network the United States has been building for decades. The way America operates this force is different as well. Each ballistic missile submarine typically has 2 rotating crews. That means the submarine itself almost never rests. One crew returns, the other is already prepared to take it back to sea. The result is simple and unsettling. At any given moment, there are U.S. nuclear-armed submarines hidden deep underwater, beyond the reach of satellites and surface radar. Between now and 2030, the centerpiece beneath the waves is the Columbia-class, the highest priority submarine program in the U.S. Navy. The first boat, USS District of Columbia, is expected to begin patrols around 2030, gradually replacing the aging Ohio-class. This is the new backbone of the naval leg of America's nuclear triad. Budgets for 2025 and 2026 place Columbia at the very top, funding the 3rd hull and preparing a production rhythm of 1 submarine per year in the latter half of the decade. Columbia is not simply a new Ohio. It is designed with a nuclear reactor that lasts the entire service life of the vessel, more than 40 years without refueling. Noise reduction systems, vibration isolation, advanced anechoic coatings, hull designs optimized for acoustic stealth. Every element is built to survive in a world where rivals are trying to make the oceans transparent. In attack submarines, the United States is playing on 2 boards at the same time. On the present board is the Virginia-class. New blocks, including Block 6, funded in the 2026 budget, expand cruise missile capacity, deploy unmanned underwater vehicles, and operate in shallow waters, polar regions, and critical sea lanes. On the future board is the next generation SSN. Described as a blend of Seawolf speed, Virginia stealth, and Columbia endurance. Keel laying may not come until around 2040, but the intent is unmistakable. The United States does not intend to merely keep pace. It intends to widen the technological gap well into the second half of this century. Why go this far? Because everyone else is running. China is investing heavily in seabed sensor networks, next-generation magnetic anomaly detection, and even quantum sensing to detect minute disturbances in the underwater environment. Signals that could reveal a submarine once thought invisible. Research teams in Shanghai and Xi'an are publishing prototypes capable of detecting electromagnetic disturbances from propellers at ranges far greater than before. Combined with artificial intelligence to process massive data flows, these systems threaten to shrink the safe spaces beneath the sea. Some strategic analysts now describe the future as an era of the transparent ocean. And they ask an uncomfortable question. Can submarines remain the ultimate invisible deterrent of the Cold War era? Some go further, warning that expensive nuclear submarines, if easily detected, could become billion-dollar coffins. That is only half the picture. The other half is how the United States responds. As rivals develop detection technologies, America accelerates counter-detection. Advanced acoustic coatings, pump jet propulsion to reduce wake, cooling systems to suppress infrared signatures, demagnetization techniques to shrink magnetic profiles. Exercises like ICEX-26 in the Arctic are not just training events. They are live testing environments for the next generation of stealth and sensor systems. At the same time, the United States does not carry this burden alone. Through agreements like AUKUS and expanding cooperation with South Korea, Washington is building an allied submarine industrial network. South Korea commits hundreds of billions of dollars into U.S. shipbuilding while pursuing its own nuclear submarine ambitions. The United Kingdom expands Virginia-class component production in Scotland. Gradually, an industrial arc of submarine power forms, stretching from the United States to Britain to Asia, with America at the center, controlling the core technologies. In the end, what forces strategists in Beijing, Moscow, and other capitals to rethink their assumptions is not how many submarines the United States has. It is how America is rewriting the rules underwater. Manned submarines working alongside swarms of unmanned vehicles, distributed sensors, artificial intelligence, cyber warfare. The seabed is no longer a silent dimension. It is becoming a dynamic, unpredictable battle space. That is the foundation of silent power beneath the oceans. And to understand how this power can be sustained globally, we have to look at the rest of the machine. The massive naval logistics and industrial network no other nation on Earth has ever built. The invisible engine, the unseen power that decides who truly controls the oceans. If aircraft carriers are the symbol and submarines are the blade in the dark, then there is one factor that ultimately decides whether a navy can dominate the seas: logistics, industry, and the speed at which combat power can be regenerated. This is the domain where, in 2025 and 2026, the United States is not merely ahead of the world, it is ahead by an entire strategic generation. Put simply, anyone can build a ship. Only the United States can operate an entire ocean of ships, every day, in every sea, across every hotspot, from the Middle East to the Baltic, from South America to the Pacific. And the reason lies in something the rest of the world has not been able to replicate: budget, global logistics, and a massive defense industrial base. In 2025, U.S. defense spending approaches the $1 trillion mark, larger than the military budgets of China and Russia combined. China spends roughly $247 to just over $314 billion by most estimates. Russia hovers around 130 to 145 billion. The United States spends a massive share on something no other nation truly has: a global logistics system. A system that integrates military and civilian assets, shipping companies, airlines, industrial conglomerates, high-technology firms, all fused into a single operational machine. An American aircraft carrier never sails alone. Behind it stands a network of ports, fuel depots, forward bases, and maintenance hubs across 3 continents. A supply chain that operates continuously. China has only managed to build fragments of this network, mostly in parts of Africa and Cambodia. Russia, for the most part, cannot sustain naval logistics far beyond its immediate borders. The U.S. Navy can move fuel, munitions, spare parts, electronic components, even aircraft and engines across the globe in hours to days. Rivals need weeks or cannot do it at all. And American logistics are not just vast, they are evolving. In 2025 and 2026, a decision shook the defense industry. The U.S. Navy signed a contract worth nearly $500 million with Palantir Technologies to deploy ShipOS, an AI-driven system designed to turn shipyards into optimized, semi-automated production lines. And the results are almost unbelievable. A production process that once took 1,850 days was reduced to 75 days. An inspection step that required 200 hours was cut to 12 seconds. A planning cycle that lasted 2,500 days was eliminated entirely. This is not incremental improvement. This is a fundamental shift in how warships are built, from a slow, heavy industrial process into something far closer to a modern technology pipeline. While China accelerates commercial shipbuilding but still struggles with military complexity, the United States responds in a way China has not matched, by injecting artificial intelligence into the entire heavy industry chain. At the same time, America did something that surprised the world. It began expanding its factory beyond its own borders. The United States, the United Kingdom, and South Korea are now integrating industrial lines to produce components for Virginia-class submarines and future naval platforms. Rosyth in Scotland manufactures modules for U.S. submarines. The Philadelphia shipyard prepares cooperative naval construction with South Korea, a country investing between $150 and $200 billion into the U.S. shipbuilding sector. No other nation has allies that function as extensions of its warship production line. Then comes the 2026 budget. Nearly 20 new ships in a single year, a number rarely achieved even during the Cold War. Amphibious ships, destroyers, submarines, ocean surveillance vessels, each one a link in a global naval power chain. When you add it all together, a near trillion-dollar budget, logistics spanning 7 strategic regions, an AI-automated defense industry, and an allied industrial network acting as an extended factory, you are not looking at a powerful navy. You are looking at a military ecosystem, one Russia and China cannot even fully model yet. But even a machine of this scale has weaknesses, and in 2025, those cracks became visible. The United States still depends on China for rare earth materials and critical components, from F-35 magnets to semiconductor supply chains. A war in the Pacific would not just be a fight of weapons, it would be a supply chain war. The U.S. Navy is powerful because it can replenish faster than its rivals. But minerals, chips, and critical components are areas where China holds leverage. The United States understands this, and it is investing tens of billions into mining projects, chip fabrication plants, and dependency reduction technologies. Still, this will remain a race with no absolute victory. Yet for now, even facing new challenges, no nation on Earth can project naval power the way the United States does. But on the other side of the equation, an arms race is accelerating, loud, visible, and increasingly dangerous to American sea power. So if someone truly wanted to defeat the US Navy, what would they have to do? That is exactly what we will answer next. So, if someone truly wanted to defeat the United States Navy, where would they strike? If there are two countries that genuinely seek to break America's dominance at sea, they are China and Russia. Both understand one fundamental truth. Defeating the US Navy is not about sinking an aircraft carrier. It is about breaking the operating structure of a war machine. And to do that, Moscow and Beijing are building new spearheads of attack, not to confront the US Navy head-on, but to disrupt the very model it depends on: sensor networks, command and control, information dominance, and most critically, the undersea domain, where the United States has relied on overwhelming superiority for decades. Russia chooses to strike from the shadows first. Over the past decade, Moscow has poured tens of billions of dollars into Yasen-M and Beret-A, the quietest nuclear submarines Russia has ever built. They are designed to do what Russia does best: find the weakness in an enemy system and drive a blade straight through it. From the deep ocean, long-range cruise missiles like Caliber and Onyx can be launched with little to no warning. And Zircon, the hypersonic missile now being integrated onto Yasen-M, delivers a blunt message. By the time US radar sees it, it is already too late. And that is only the visible part. The most dangerous element is the invisible one: Poseidon, a nuclear-powered autonomous nuclear torpedo with virtually unlimited range and the ability to evade most existing sensors. Analysts still debate its practical battlefield value, but the idea alone, a weapon that can wait silently underwater for weeks, has already forced the United States to rethink coastal defense entirely. On the surface, Russia is reviving legacy platforms with modern technology. Large warships like Admiral Nakhimov, once upgraded, become missile arsenals at sea. The strategy is clear: saturation fire from long range instead of closing distance with the US Navy. China, meanwhile, takes a top-down systems approach. Beijing is not focused only on attacking US ships. It is focused on attacking America's ability to perceive the battlefield. China is developing the JL-3, a submarine-launched ballistic missile with far greater range than its predecessors, long enough for Type 094 and future Type 096 submarines to provide nuclear deterrence without leaving waters close to China. At the same time, airborne early warning aircraft, synthetic aperture radar satellites, and seabed sensor networks are turning the Western Pacific into a zone of continuous observation, a space where any US naval movement can be detected, analyzed, and fed into automated tracking algorithms. China understands something fundamental. To kill an aircraft carrier, speed is not enough. You have to see it first. That is why Beijing invests heavily in YJ-12 and YJ-18, anti-ship missiles that fly fast, dive steeply, and are designed to be difficult to intercept. Combined with anti-ship ballistic missiles, the goal is not a single strike. It is a data storm. an overload scenario designed to saturate U.S. defenses. The real power of China's strategy lies in how it fuses sensors, artificial intelligence, and long-range firepower, turning the ocean into a space with far less concealment than ever before. Quantum sensing, next-generation magnetometers, satellites tracking minute disturbances on the sea surface. All of it drives the world toward a disturbing question. Will the ocean remain a sanctuary for U.S. submarines 20 years from now? Running in parallel is an industrial race where China leads in sheer scale. Type 055 destroyers, Type 054A frigates, Type 075 amphibious assault ships, and plans for a fourth aircraft carrier. China's surface fleet is expanding at a pace the world has not seen since World War II. What matters most is that both Russia and China are rewriting naval strategy by refusing to copy the American model. They are not building 11 supercarriers. They are not forming 9 full carrier strike groups. Instead, they aim to break the U.S. model with technologies that avoid direct confrontation. Deep stealth submarines, hypersonic weapons, underwater drones, aerial drones, distributed sensor networks, and AI-driven data processing that removes humans from the loop. One U.S. admiral once said, "An aircraft carrier does not fear weapons. It fears being seen." That sentence captures the shared strategy of Russia and China. Attack the invisibility of the U.S. Navy before attacking its firepower. But here lies the paradox. Despite possessing worrying technologies, both nations face fundamental constraints the United States does not. Russia lacks a modern electronics base and advanced shipbuilding infrastructure. China has massive scale, but still struggles with nuclear propulsion, submarine noise reduction, and most critically, sustained blue water operations. Capabilities the United States has practiced for 70 years. So even with Poseidon, even with DF-21D and JL-3, defeating the U.S. Navy remains far more difficult than weapon maps suggest. To break a system like the U.S. Navy, you cannot strike a single point. You must attack information, sensors, logistics, submarines, naval aviation, and even the speed at which decisions are made. This is not a contest of bigger guns. It is a contest of complex systems versus complex systems. And so far, no one has proven they can do it at global scale. After everything we've analyzed, there is a quiet but unsettling question hanging over the ocean. If the United States Navy is the most powerful force on the planet, then why does Washington still spend nearly $1 trillion every single year to maintain its edge? The answer lies in the nature of the era we are entering. An era where military dominance is no longer decided by the size of warships, the number of aircraft, or the weight of warheads, but by something far more invisible: reaction time, data silence, and the ability to remain unseen in a world where the eyes are getting sharper every year. That is what makes the United States wary of Russia, and that is what makes Washington deeply cautious of China. Because in the darkness of the ocean, a relatively inexpensive weapon can hunt a target worth tens of billions of dollars. And on the surface of the world, nations racing quietly can shift the balance of power with a single breakthrough. Yet, there is also an undeniable reality. No country other than the United States possesses a truly global system for adaptation. No country operates 9 carrier strike groups across the world's oceans. No country runs nearly 70 nuclear submarines backed by decades of real combat experience. No country combines global logistics, overseas bases, allied networks, and a defense budget approaching $1 trillion every year. The U.S. Navy is the strongest in the world, and precisely because it is the strongest, it has become the force every rival designs weapons to defeat. In the 20th century, naval power was measured in steel. In the 21st century, it is measured in data, in silence, and in the processing speed of algorithms and artificial intelligence. But there is one race that the United States, Russia, and China are all pursuing more aggressively than any single weapon system. Intelligent unmanned systems, swarm drones, technologies that could turn aircraft carriers from hunters into hunted targets. So the question becomes unavoidable. When swarms of low-cost drones can overwhelm defenses worth billions of dollars, will a carrier strike group, the pride of the U.S. Navy, remain truly invincible? And can the United States hold on to its singular position for decades to come? This is Future War Tech. We'll see you in the next episode.